welcome back to my channel. This is the start of a new reading vlog, and currently I'm conflicted on what I really want to read this week because I have 3 books left on my September TBR. I think it's Throne of the Fallen, The Neighbor Favor, and what was it? Wild Love. The thing is though, I have no interest in reading any of those books, so I am deviating way off my TBR, and I have no problem with that because when I force myself to read my TBR, that is when I go into a reading slump. I've learned that about myself over the years. So that is why I've just been using my TBR as just an idea of what I feel like I want to read in the next couple of weeks. But sometimes I'll just not be in the mood anymore to read those books. But I think what's really affecting why I don't want to read my TBR this time around is the fall season. Like, we're officially in fall season, and I'm just looking at all the dark fall autumn theme books instead. So one book I'm really looking at reading on my physical TBR right now is A Sorceress Comes to Call. This one is by T. Fisher. It's about this girl who is a daughter of a sorceress, and the sorceress is more of an evil, cruel sorceress. She's always freezing her daughter in one spot, and basically her daughter is trapped living with her. And the concept here is that this is a sort of retelling of The Goose Girl. It has like this nice inner cover. I forgot what you call this part right here, but I just like the art style here. It's so pretty. But yeah, I don't know that fairy tale, The Goose Girl, but it's T. Fisher. I'm excited to read it nonetheless. And currently I am reading Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood. That one, I tried to find the audio of it, but I could not. So I'm reading it on Kindle, and I'm 45% of the way through it right now. But I keep getting distracted. That's why I tell you, I like to use audio to stay in the story. But every time I'm reading it, I'm like getting distracted. I've used what do you call it? A playlist, a fall autumnal vibe playlist to get to 45%, but since then I haven't been able to continue. But I also think it's because I'm kind of getting a little bit bored with the story itself. Like, it has gone through all the parts that I read in the synopsis. We're at this part now that I'm kind of like iffy about, so I don't know if I'm going to continue reading that one in this vlog. I think I want to read something else, but I know for sure I want to read In the Company of Witches. I don't own that one physically either because it's a mass paperback. That's the only version they have out for it physically, and I cannot read those. So I'm gonna read that one via audio and Kindle. So I got the Kindle version and I got the audiobook from my library. So I'm gonna try reading that one first and see if I can stay focused on reading that because it will actually have audio to go along with it. I've tried listening to music, like people singing while reading, and it doesn't work for me, but it only works when I'm listening to the actual words that are written on the paper. I don't know. Like, I just cannot focus sometimes. I thought I would be able to focus more because I'm able to read on Kindle way better when I don't have the audio version. I think that's why I was able to get to 45% anyway. It's just a story itself that I'm kind of like not that invested in anymore, but I really like the cover. It's beautiful. I am annotating a bit as well, but I think I'm gonna pause on that for now. And I have this coloring book that I bought because I want to try doing some coloring while I listen to my audiobook. I think at the same time I kind of miss listening to an audiobook because I haven't listened to one in like a week now since I got sick. I haven't like read anything via audio, so it's like my routine to do it every day. So that's probably why I'm struggling to read that one book. So that's just a weird thing about me. I cannot read books without listening to the audio at the same time. And another thing is I also cannot just listen to the audio. The only time I'm able to do that is when I'm driving. But otherwise, if I'm at home, I can't just sit there and listen to an audiobook. It won't work. I have to look at the words. Like, I'm just trapped in the middle. But yeah, I want to do this coloring book. I saw it a couple months ago on Amazon, so I got it. I finally got it because I was like, it looks so very fall themed, and I'm gonna try to find some pages that are more like on the cozy side. I mean, they're all like on the cozy side, but you know, the ones that look more whimsical, like this one, the old bookshop. I want to do that one. I'm gonna follow the back here because like I have no idea what I'm gonna color it, but the back where it's all green, I want to do it like that. That looks very cozy and cute. So yeah, that's one of my ideas to do. I'm really feeling like I want to read In the Company of Witches. I think I'm gonna try that one because it's kind of murder mystery with witches, and that sounds cool. And I also got a book mail. I totally forgot about this. I got this yesterday, so let's open it up. This is one book I want to read for my fall TBR. It's One Dark Window. Ooh, it's pretty thick. Let's see how much pages. Basically less than 4 pages. Yeah, I did start this one a couple months ago, but it really fit for fall time, so that's why I paused it. And I will find the page I was at because I didn't remember what I was reading, but I'll find that and then mark it and continue it soon. So yeah, let's get into some reading. Okay, so it's a little later in the day today. I did make some reading progress, so I want to talk about that. And if you've seen my previous clip, I started on my October spreads in my reading journal. I always start early doing my spreads for the next month because I like doing them a lot. It's very common for me to do. I'm always super excited to do those. So I started early. Well, not early for me. It's usually around the time I usually start for the next month's spread. Sometimes I'll start in the middle of the month. If I'm especially overly excited for what I want to read the next month, I'll just start on my next month's spread because I want to just put down the books that I plan to read for that month. And I'm still sick. I think it's since last week, Tuesday is when I got sick, but I'm still sick. So my voice is still very raspy and low. So sorry about that if I sound too low. But anyways, reading update. I decided to start reading In the Company of Witches. I'm so happy reading this book because it totally reminds me of Ghost Whisperer, this TV show. It was one of my favorite TV shows growing up. I love that show so much. I don't know, the vibe in The Company of Witches totally gives me Melinda Gordon vibes. Like the main woman in here reminds me of her so much. And I think it's because of her situation with her husband and her being a widow. One of those seasons we had a situation like that with Melinda, and this book is totally giving that vibe with her grieving and her feeling distraught and very upset and not being able to get over it. And one of her aunts is basically like trying to force her to like quickly get over this grief because it's been several months now. And I'm just like, no, I feel for her. It just put me back into that time when I was watching that show. For some reason, it totally reminds me of, especially the town that they're in. It's so tight knit and everyone knows each other. But even though it's such a small town, at the same time, you have people speaking with each other and having relationships with each other that a lot of people don't know about because they hit it so well. And I just like that. The witchy parts now aren't like extreme. They are there, but I'm only 60% in the book right now. I think I'm going to finish it today because I'm really loving it. So I don't want to do anything else but read it. And yeah, but the witchy aspect, they're there, but not in a super potion making, evil witchcraft vibes. You know, it's like very simple, kind of mundane. And I really like that. But yeah, that book totally reminds me of Ghost Whisperer. If you never watched that show, I totally recommend it. It's perfect for fall time because it's focused on this lady who can see ghosts. She can see spirits. Melinda, she always helps the spirits. They usually stay behind because they had like a very tragic death, that they've been murdered, or it could even be an accident, but they had these strong connections to the earth still, or to people in their life still. They find it hard to just completely leave earth. So she usually helps them. The main character in The Company of Witches, she is a witch that deals with death and spirits and stuff like that. She usually is able to see spirits, and she's known for helping living people get the last message from their loved ones that have passed away. And yeah, that totally reminded me of that show. So far, it's looking like this is gonna be maybe a 5-star read, maybe not. But we'll see when I'm finished if I give it 5 stars. But yeah, it's really making me happy reading it so far. I'm really enjoying it. Time for another update. It's almost 10 p.m. and I finished In the Company of Witches. It was so good. So good. I devoured that book. I honestly wish I owned it physically, but that mass paperback copy, I know I wasn't be able to read it, but I might buy it and just annotate it. Just to annotate it because it's a 5 stars. I give it 5 stars. Like honestly, from I was getting the Ghost Whisperer vibes, I knew it was a high possibility it would be a 5 star read. And it's a 5 star based on vibes. It is not the world's greatest book or anything, but reading is subjective, and I love that book. Okay, it was the best. The best thing I ever read in a while, okay? Since Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, I haven't given the book 5 star. And I think that was in July, early July, I read that book. So that I'm happy. I'm happy with the outcome. It was so great. I'm so happy I picked this book up in this time. Like I really wanted something witchy and nice and cozy with like small town vibes, and that totally gave that. I highly recommend this book if you like a little bit of the nice traditional witchy tropes, and it has some great family bonds in there, and also some petty family drama from the other side. But it was really interesting. It kept me invested all the way through. The mystery too was also pretty good. It was pretty easy. Like I could guess like who did it, but at the same time, not really. I was a bit surprised at the end. But the very final ending with Bryn, the main character, I really love that ending. Her tribute to her husband was so beautiful. I almost cried. Like it had me teary eye a little bit, to be honest. Like it was so beautiful. I loved it. I could just envision everything, especially when they described like when they were doing stuff with their magic. Oh, I loved it. So yeah, In the Company of Witches, 5 stars. I loved it so much. Hi. So it is like 2 days later since I last updated this vlog. So today is Thursday, and I read this morning. I woke up and I read Pumpkinheads by Rain Burrell and Faith Heron Hicks. That was just a cute, nice fall themed graphic novel that I picked up solely for the fact that we're in fall season, and it was very cute, very autumnal, but nothing too exciting. So I gave it 3 stars because it was just simple, cute, and not much to it. It was just between these two friends that they're on this little adventure at this pumpkin patch that they work at, and it was nice to follow along and watch those two. So that was Pumpkinheads, and I'm currently reading As Sources Comes to Call. I am really enjoying this one so far. I find myself reading it physically a lot. The audiobook is pretty great. I like the narrator for Cordelia, the main girl. Her voice sounds really raspy and dark, and I think it's very fitting for the storyline. I like that I don't know where the story is going at all. Like I can't guess as to how things are gonna work out. But I hope for the best for Cordelia because I really like her. She's so cute. She is 14 years old, almost 15. So she's very young. And as I said before, her mom is very cruel and not nice to her at all. So a lot of characters that have met her in here, they're all like very sorry for her because they can see that she behaves like a child that is being abused basically, because technically that is what's happening here because of what her mom is doing to her and her mom's goals for herself. It reads very much like a fairy tale, and I really like that. But I just don't know where it's gonna go. Like based on the synopsis, I don't know what's gonna happen at all. But I really like that. I find that with T.K. Fisher's book, the other two I read from her, Thornhedge and Nettle and Bone, as I'm reading them, I couldn't guess the outcome at all and where it would be going next. And I actually like that because most stories, they're very predictable because they follow like the simple structure of the character find that they have a power or something, like they have a plan structured to do this, to do A, B, C, and D. But there's not really a structure like set forth for the characters in this one. So it has me like, I don't know what's gonna happen next, but I'm really interested to see where it could go, like what twists and turns T.K. Fisher has for us. And hopefully overall I enjoyed. But so far really liking it. I'm at chapter 12, page 97. So a good way through this book, but still unsure of where it could be leading to. But I do like the sister in here, Hester, she is a sister of the squire that the sorceress is trying to marry for her own benefit. And Hester is like 57 or 51. I don't remember exactly what she said she was, but she's in her 50s. She's like a perfect mother figure for Cordelia. And I hope to see them get closer. So far, they're kind of getting closer, but not really. Hester's a bit hesitant to get a relationship with Cordelia because Cordelia's mom is not nice, and Hester sees that, so she suspects that Cordelia is just the same. It's going like that so far, and just enjoying it. Not much to say other than that. But I'm going to continue reading this one today, and I don't think I'll finish it today, but I'll see, and if anything, I'll get back to updating you guys. Right now, I'm finding it so hard to articulate how I feel about this book. So it's now Friday. When I last updated yesterday, I was 96 pages into this book, but now it's Friday and I just finished it. I wrote my review on Goodreads about it, but speaking and writing is two different things for me. So I'm trying to figure out how to talk about why I enjoy this book, you know? But anyways, I give it 4 stars, and I and what can I say about it what can I say? What do I have in my head? Okay, so the character, Cordelia, the main girl, she's 14 years old, very young. She is the main character in here. Then you have the sorceress, her mom. She's the clear villain. This other character, Hester, she's like the nicer mother figure for Cordelia. So we have these two, and then we have Cordelia, the main girl. Cordelia is very shy, timid, and very afraid all the time, which understandable. But I really liked her from page 1. And then we have all these other characters she meets along the way that I really like, especially this one called Penelope. I really liked her. Her personality was really different from Cordelia and very different from Hester, but you could see how easily Cordelia became attached to that character because of that reason, and I really liked her. There was a lot of scenes in here that had me kind of laughing a bit because we do have humor in this book. T.K. Fisher definitely has some humor in her books, like especially Nettle and Bone. I love Nettle and Bone because of the humor. It was really good, but also dark, but really funny, and fun. This a little less on the humorous side, more serious, but still quite funny. All the characters in here are older, so the youngest character is clearly Cordelia, but then her mom is in her 30s, early 30s, but everyone else is in their 50s, 60s. I think that's the highest, yeah, 60s. So it was good reading a book where it's focusing more on older and middle-aged characters because I really read books with that. This book, I would say, gave me a new insight on what I would like to read because I barely read books with older characters because obviously I would feel like I wouldn't relate as much. But the fact that they had a younger character in here kind of made it more interesting. I didn't know what to expect at all, as I said earlier. I didn't know where the story would be going because it doesn't have that typical story structure of a hero and a villain, and you will expect the hero to go on this journey or this adventure to defeat the villain. You have a villain, a clear villain in here. The way they go about fighting against this villain, it's not the usual way because we have one sorceress and everyone else is mundane and regular. So how would that work out? If this book seems interesting to you, I definitely recommend you read it because it reads very much like a fairy tale. And that's one thing I really liked about it. The way the scenes went from one to the other read like a fairy tale. I don't know if I described that well, but that's how I think about it. I liked how animals are inputted into the story as well. We have geese, obviously, and then there's this one horse, this white horse, that's very important to the story. All the way throughout, he's very important. In the beginning, I really liked him, but throughout the book, I started hating him. I was saying it when I was listening to the audio, I was like, wow, not this book making me hate a horse for the first time in my life. But yeah, so I don't hate horses, but I hate that one horse. If you read it, you'll know what I mean. So yeah, As Sorceress Comes to Call, I gave it 4 stars. It was pretty great to read. Very interesting, very different from what I'm used to reading. But it makes me want to read more Tiki Fisher books because her mind, amazing. I love her. I love her writing. Good morning, it's Saturday morning. So this morning I went to Walgreens and I did a little shopping. So I thought I would do a little haul for that since it's kind of fall themed, I guess. I saw like this potion bottle and it looks so pretty. It has like a raven on top. It says Never Ending Nightmares. I thought it's very fitting for my bookshelf. I always like decorating my bookshelf with like little knickknacks. So this one I saw it today and I was like, oh, perfect. It's perfect for it. It's empty. It doesn't have anything in it. It's just like this sparkly looking thing inside the glass just to give off the vibes, you know? So I'm gonna put this one on my bookshelf, find a spot to put it there. And I got some pumpkins, little pumpkins. So this is a yellow one and then I got an orange one. These now, I think I'm gonna put them on this next to my little mushroom that I have there. That is basically a stars basket, but I really like it because it's a mushroom and I love mushrooms. And it just fits what I like to decorate my place with. I think these will look perfect in front of it since it's very fitted. So yeah, I'm gonna add those there for like the fall season, but I think I'm probably gonna keep them all throughout the year because I don't really decorate based on season. Overall, I just like how fall decor looks, and I think I'm just gonna keep them there for the whole season. But it's fall time, so obviously I'm gonna find these in the store more easier. And then I also got these. I think they're called garlands. Yeah, leaf garlands. It's like a light set. I'm hoping this will look good on my shelf. I'm gonna try put it on my bookshelf and see how it turns out because my bookshelves are gold and white, so I think it'll look pretty on there. So I got this, and that's basically what I got at Walgreens, but not included my candy of Kit Kats because I love Kit Kats. Yeah, that's what I got. And I also got some book mail. So let's unbox this box because it is important to what I'm reading this week. So I need to get this book out of here. I should have known. This box is kind of tiny for the amount of books I got and the size of them, so it was not well packaged. So I got the paperback version of Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood, and it's a book I've been talking about all throughout this week that I'm reading it and struggling to read it. So I decided to get it physically so I can continue reading it physically while listening to booktube in the background because I realized I can read physically that way. So I'm gonna do that because I do share my iPad, which I read on, with my son. So it was kind of difficult to read that book as well because I share the iPad with him and I have to use my phone instead. And phone is very distracting, so I don't want to read on the Kindle on my phone. So I got a physical copy of this. So I might return that back to the library. I'm gonna transfer my annotations in this one first from the Kindle version and then return it back to the library so other people can get to read it. And then in the box I have What Moved the Dead by T.K. Fisher. I did say I want to read this in October. It's very tiny, so it's basically a novella. And lastly, I got The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig. This will be my first book that I read by Erin, and super excited about that. But the reason why I really wanted to own this one physically is because of the undercover. Like, do you see that? So dazzling. I love it. I'm gonna display this on my shelf. I'm thinking I'm gonna get another bookshelf because I want to decorate my shelf more spaced out because like I do still have my books stacked together because I'm getting more books, you know. But yeah, I'm gonna see how that works out. But I also like the actual cover. It's very pretty. So that's just a mini book haul, I guess. And I'm gonna go transfer my annotations to this book and continue reading it. I finished Rewitched. I'm so proud of myself. As I said before, I really struggled to read a book without the audiobook version of the actual book. So this book was a challenge as of recently. Usually I am able to read without the audio guiding me along. But most days I do struggle to actually sit down and focus on solely reading. So this book, I'm so proud of myself because I was struggling there a bit. And in the 45% mark, I started struggling to read it. But I realized it's because I didn't enjoy that part. That part of the book was kind of boring. It wasn't very interesting. But after that, the like 52% mark, it started to pick up. And that's because there was this character introduced. He's called Arterius or Artie. And I really liked him. He's like this mentor figure in Belladonna's life. Belladonna, she's the female main character of this book. And once she met Artie, that's when I really started getting invested. So I put on this playlist of instrumental autumn fall vibe music, and that really helped as well to just immerse myself in the story and just sit down and read it. I read most of it Saturday, but this morning I finished the last 70 pages, and it's so good. I think I want to rate it around 4.25 to 4.5 stars. Not sure yet. So far, I've put it as 4 stars on Goodreads, but I think it's much more than 4 stars because I enjoyed it more than like a 4 star rating, in my opinion. Because a 4 star for me is like, it was pretty good. I loved a lot of it, but there is not enough in it for me to give it 5 stars, or it wasn't like close to a 5 star, which was when I would give it like 4.5 or 4.75 stars. But this one, I feel like 4 stars is not a great rating for it because it really captivated me a whole lot in the beginning. I really like the whimsical writing style. So I don't think it deserves a 4 star because even now when I finish it, I'm like, I kind of miss reading it. Like, I miss the days I spent, especially at night. I read this one mostly at night. I miss those nights where I would just put on my playlist and read it on my Kindle or switch to the physical. As of recently, I switched to the physical and read it that way. I miss that. Like, I don't know if it's because of the atmosphere I put while reading this book that made me want to rate it higher, or is the book itself. But the book itself does have this really cozy, warm-hearted feeling to it. So I think I want to give it 4.5 stars. The plotline wasn't the most difficult or anything, so I really liked that aspect. But it was also kind of underwhelming, but I should have expected it. This book, I think, is set in the 90s in London. It's a more modern day setting with witches, so I wasn't really expecting a very fantastical plotline. So the witches in here are more focused on potions and herb magic and that sort. And I think they do have different types of witches, but there wasn't much on that. So I don't really know how to explain that part because I felt like that wasn't really explained a whole lot. Like there were some parts I think we could have had some much more explanation on the magic system, but this is kind of more like a light fantasy, light lower fantasy. So that's kind of expected, but I really wish I had a bit more on the magic system. And then the romance. The romance wasn't anything super great or anything, but I did like it. I like that it wasn't so in your face, like, oh, she's in love or who is the most handsome thing on earth. I like that it was kind of poking fun at the romance a bit because of how romances are written in books. They're always like, oh, he's so tall, dark, and handsome, and oh my, he's flirting with her and this and that. Like he was flirting with her, but in like a very outwardly way, and she knows he's flirting, he knows he's flirting, and they joke with each other a lot, and it was pretty nice, that part. So I enjoyed it overall. So that was my fourth book I read in this vlog. I didn't expect to read so much books. I did start off by saying I don't know what I want to read, and then I went on to read so many books. So I did read In the Company of Witches, and by far my favorite one out of all the books I read is I gave that one 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read the second book. I was looking at what it's about, but I didn't want to look at what it was about first before reading In the Company of Witches because it's a sequel. So some sequels can spoil the first book, so I didn't look at it until I finished In the Company of Witches. I'm going to buy the physical copy of When the Crows Away. That's the second book. And I'm going to try to read along with the audiobook because I did like the audiobook of In the Company of Witches. And as I said, that book reminded me of Ghost Whisperer so much. I really like that aspect about it because the small town vibe and the fact that the main character, she's able to speak to the dead. I think that's why I connected those two a bit, and I just see them as being similar. It doesn't go much further than that. Then I think I read Pumpkinheads, Pumpkinheads, the graphic novel, and that one I gave 3 stars. And then I read As Sorceress Comes to Call. That was a new, very different type of book for me. I really enjoyed it. It was on the dark side. The writing style was very fairy tale-esque, and that's expected because it is based on the Goose Girl fairy tale. And lastly,
I read Rewitched, and such a great book. I'm still transforming annotations. I didn't realize I annotated so much in the beginning because, as I said, the writing style was very whimsical and beautiful, and I really liked it. I underlined a lot of very beautiful sentences that I really liked, and also some parts that I love between the character, or just aspects in there that I really like. So I'm still annotating the beginning. I did annotate the rest physically as I was reading. So it's a lot of annotations. So that's why I think also I annotate so much. It's definitely not a 4-star. I don't annotate 4-star books most of the time, or are at least this much. So it's deserving. It's a 4.5 stars. Yeah. So those are my thoughts on Rewitch. And thank you all for watching this vlog. And I'll see you in my next video.